All the winning we've been doing over the last couple of seasons at Mercedes has given us a very healthy bank balance. We've got nearly $100 million to spend. Hello folks, welcome to episode 77 of the Career Mode with Mercedes. My name's Aaron and we are bringing you the Azerbaijan Grand Prix today, although we do have 25 days until that happens. But more pressingly, we have, as I said, a very large amount of money in the bank balance. So just ahead of recording, I was looking through things, thinking how could I spend this, and I realised that all the facilities probably need upgrading. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and upgrade all of the operational facilities. So making sure our weather centre is accurate so we know exactly when the rain is going to come. We're going to update our helipad because we need a helipad. Memorabilia room, I mean, we've got a lot of trophies to show off, and our tour centre, we want to give back to the fans, don't we? Show them what's going on in the factory. We're going to upgrade the race simulator so that our drivers are improving their skills. We're going to refurbish the team hub so that the staff are happy. But then we also get to hear the car development facilities, and we need to spend some money. So we've just spent the best part of $20 million refurbishing and upgrading everything else. So aside from knocking down buildings, we're just going to refurbish everything here. So that's nearly $7 million on the factory, $6.5 million on the design centre. The wind tunnel needs a lot of refurbishing, so another $6.3 million on that. The CFD simulator. And basically this is going to restore all of our sort of boosts from having better facilities. So if you see on the right hand side the facility effects at the moment, because it's an older or more run down, in worse condition area of the factory, it's not giving us essentially as much value for money. So we need to keep on top of things, keep refurbishing it or upgrading it, and then we'll be good. So we've just spent $53 million on refurbishments and all sorts of stuff. So we should get more emails like this where we see green numbers for Oscar Piastri. We might not see so many for George Russell. He's what, 27 now? How old is he? 28 even. God, he's ancient by F1 standards nowadays. They come in and they're barely out of a pushchair, and you know you've got George Russell at the ripe old age of 28 and on the way to a second World Championship. So what you will also notice here is Audi have arrived. So I've finally got round to downloading some mods. Audi are here at last. I did try and change a driver or two during like this little impromptu mid-season break. Did try to biff off Nick de Vries and replace him with the F2 Championship leader, Victor Martins, but when I loaded that save, it kept crashing. So this is sort of the save that we had before. I mean, I've got my editor and I create multiple files, so we're all safe in that respect. So I'm not jeopardizing anything. I've not come this far to have the file get corrupted and then go, oh, hello guys, we're starting a new save because I made a mess with the other one. It should be a fun weekend. What's our car look like at the moment in terms of competitiveness? Low speed, weirdly low speed, very good around, well, because of the castle section around Baku. Very useful, so we should be good there. And we've got good top speed, so we should do okay. Have we got anything in the pipe works? We might have a new underfloor and new suspension ready, because 12 days for the design to be completed, and then we can manufacture those. We'll have extra parts coming in. I think these are brand new side pods as well that are going to go on the car. Can't remember if they were on for Italy or not, but it matters not. They'll be on the car for Baku, and that's what matters. So I'm going to get through this 25-day mid-season break. I'll see you in qualifying for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Easily into Q3 then here in Baku. Piastri third fastest in Q2. Russell fifth fastest, although George was second fastest in Q1. Slipstream is very important here. So what we're going to do, we're going to send George Russell first and then Oscar Piastri second and see what we can achieve on these opening runs. Charles Leclerc is the first man out, and he is a bit of a specialist around the Baku street circuit. So let's see if we can match the Monegasque. Alright, approaching the end of the first sector. And Charles Leclerc is, of course, the fastest man so far. But Liam Lawson is, in fact, quicker because he's getting a toe off of us. The young Kiwi in the Alpine. Could he be a threat today for maybe a front row or a front 2 row spot? Keep an eye on the colour blocks here in the top left. Leclerc, fastest man, middle sector, beaten by George Russell. So there's a chance that we can match the Red Bull. I don't know sort of where the strengths are in comparison, but we have good top speed. And Charles Leclerc goes fastest, is immediately deposed by Russell, who is beaten by Liam Lawson. That is insane. It's a couple of tenths as well. That is absolutely bonkers. What a lap from Liam Lawson. Final runs incoming then here in Baku. We've got ourselves into a lovely position. Pierre Gasly is leading Charles Leclerc, who's leading George Russell, who's leading Oscar Piastri, who's also actually in front of Liam Lawson, who's just completed a lap, I think. Or he's just completing one. But you might also notice that Yuki Tsunoda isn't taking part in this session, and that's because he crashed in Q2, causing a red flag, but still managed to find a way through. Let's follow these laps then. We'll get the sector colours up. Lawson actually with a purple middle sector on that last lap he's just completed, but it wasn't enough to go faster. Let's see then what we can achieve. There is going to be a bit of traffic, potentially. And Piastri is the man in the first sector, to the surprise of nobody, with like a quadruple slipstream. Russell improving though, that's good news. Verstappen has just gone fastest of anybody in Sector 2, but we are going to get a tremendous tow down this back straight and down to the final corner that really means anything as well. But we're not setting the timing screens purple. Verstappen goes second fastest, so let's have a look at what Gasly can achieve. He's got 2 personal bests, as does George Russell and Charles Leclerc. Gasly goes 5th, Leclerc stays 4th. In fact, goes 3rd. Piastri takes pole position. It all happened very quickly. George Russell, 4th fastest. Oscar Piastri has another pole position. The young Aussie is the man over one lap, it would seem now. But also the benefit of the slipstream really paying dividends. But it's an all down under front row. Oscar Piastri's on pole and Liam Lawson is 2nd. That is incredible. Has there ever been an Australia-New Zealand front row in Formula One? Honestly, I don't know. It's highly unlikely, unless it was maybe Bruce McLaren and Alan Jones or something. Not Alan Jones. Jack Brabham. I'll have to research that. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, P1, get in there. All ready to go then with the strategy for Baku. George Russell is doing a one-stop soft to medium, quite straightforward. We'll just look after the mediums in the second half of the race. Going to push early, see if we can undercut. And that's kind of the plan as well with Oscar Piastri. Remember, he's not as good on his tyres, so doing a one-stop would probably leave him exposed. We wouldn't be able to push with him, so we're going to push the entire race instead and do a two-stop. And if there's a safety car, his strategy starts to work wonders. But also, from pole position, if we can get away and maybe Lawson can hold people up a little bit, we can break away, build a gap, and then he can box into some clear air. I did update the car parts, so we've got brand new side pods on both cars. George has new underfloor and new suspension, and there was only one of each of those parts available. So Oscar on pole position and trying to win this race with the old underfloor and old suspension, which has served us quite well. You'll notice George Russell also has a 100% car setup satisfaction. Oscar only 99% happy with his car setup, but he should be happy with his start position. So we failed in Italy. Can we get Oscar Piastri that maiden Grand Prix win with Mercedes? Let's do a motor race. Alrighty, here we go. We are waiting for 5 red lights in Baku. Here they are. The lights are out. The race is on. Oscar Piastri gets away well. Max Verstappen looks like he is launching straight into second position. I thought Lawson was wiping him out of the race there for a second. That was almost very dramatic. We've seen collisions through turn 2 in Baku plenty of times. But we see Oscar Piastri leading the way out of it,
And you have pressed
which
full
is
overtake available.
just what we wanted to see, but it's not what we wanted to see with Max Verstappen in P2. That's not ideal. Let's have a look at the strategies. Lawson on the mediums, that would explain why he didn't really go anywhere off the start. So we'll get George Russell driving in clean air. I think our plan with Piastri then to break away has kind of just gone out the window, but this could be a wacky race. We will wait and see. George Russell up into P3 then. He moves past Liam Lawson, who very much is holding people up. And when I say people, I mean George Russell. There's Charles Leclerc, who's also on a set of mediums. George just getting fantastic traction out of the final proper corner. That's Lawson making a bit of an attempt to retake the position, which we don't like or appreciate. We need to get George Russell on the back of Max Verstappen and causing him some problems, because he's about to cause Oscar Piastri a problem by taking the lead. That's not what we had in mind. So this is going to be a scrap with Verstappen, I think, and we need to get George Russell involved in it. So it's 2v1 at the front, and Leclerc's on a different strategy. Piastri has just taken the lead from Max Verstappen. Let's see if he completes it. He does. This is how he did it. Obviously with DRS. Down the outside he goes. He got Verstappen to defend the inside. Oh, did they touch wheels there? That could have been a disastrous end to the race. Trying to take the lead and then connecting with the Red Bull. That would have been far from ideal. Now we'll stop driving in clean air, because we are in clean air because we're the lead driver. Excellent stuff, Oscar. Let's... well, there's no point trying to push on and build a gap. Not to Verstappen, at least. We need to make sure we build a gap back to the midfield. How much time will we lose for a pit stop? It is 20 seconds. So if we can build 20 seconds back to someone, maybe Norris and Gasly, that would be very, very helpful. So let's attack on the tyres, build the gap, and see where Oscar pops back out from his pit stop. That's Verstappen sending it into turn 1. So you have DRS for the second straight? Yes, he is. So that's not ideal, but we'll just keep scrapping away with the Dutchman, and I'm sure everything will be okay. We've reached Oscar Piastri's optimal pit stop lap. He's still getting some DRS from Verstappen, but we have been attacking on our tyres, and Verstappen is definitely looking after his tyres a bit more. Annoyingly, George Russell is not showing the pace I hoped he would today. He's 5.5 seconds off the Dutchman, but maybe if we're coming in a bit earlier, he will be able to undercut Verstappen a little bit. But Piastri could be the main threat here, because he's on the 2-stop, and he should drop out somewhere around Drugovich and Tsunoda. So hopefully with some DRS, some good overtakes, he can move himself through that pack, make good ground, and then hopefully undercut Verstappen on the fresh tyres. So we do also need a good pit stop, and let's see exactly how that plays out right now as Oscar Piastri enters the pit lane, free of photographers this time. That's all good. Russell 6 seconds off the back of Verstappen. Medium tyres going on to Piastri, 2.8 second stop. Not too shabby indeed. Let's see from Oscar Piastri's point of view where he drops back out into this race. Is it around Drugovich and Tsunoda? It is exactly behind Drugovich, and there is Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. So we're driving in clean air. We are. We won't get DRS just yet, but hopefully we can navigate this DRS train and gain some ground. Got George Russell pushing now with the fuel. Let's get him deploying, see if we can close the gap to Verstappen. But the Dutchman is 7/10 a lap quicker. That's worrying. First bit of progress for Oscar Piastri. He's just nailed Lance Stroll. Sweet indeed, Oscar. That was a nice move indeed. I didn't see it because I had it on fast forward, but look at this, round the outside, and again just better traction from the Mercedes versus the Aston Martin. Job done, and now we can start chasing Drugovich, who won't have DRS to defend himself, which should make the job a whole lot easier. Drugovich is about to get mugged, I think, by Oscar Piastri for P10. And this is important for Oscar's race because that means he might be able to undercut Verstappen. What's the gap to the leader? It is, well, he's going to be a few seconds ahead of Verstappen at this rate, albeit with another stop to make. Here he goes. We get the overtake done here. Surely, with the DRS down the inside. There you go. Thank you very much. We haven't spent a lot of time with George Russell in this race today, but he is on his way to the pit lane. He's now less than 3.5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. We have pushed a lot to catch the Dutchman, and I think we might be able to get something of an undercut here. Credit to Liam Lawson. He's still in the top 5 before all the pit stops played out. 2.6 second stop time for Russell. He drops out in P12, basically just behind where Oscar came out in the pack, who's now in between the Ferraris, and there is an almighty scrap going on here for what is 4th position behind Carlos Sainz. Lawson is now battling with Leclerc. Don't go too wide through the castle, that's not advised. But Piastri starting to make some really solid progress. Russell out on some mediums, and he'll go to the end on those, but we could also use them a bit harder and switch into a 2-stop, especially if there's a safety car. But Verstappen, he'll be in a couple of laps, probably for a set of mediums, maybe for a set of hards, and he'll be going to the end as well, I'm sure. Oscar Piastri is now 4th in this race. He's just made a double overtake. Look at this. They're 3 wide down the straight. Sainz then thinks better of it. We have a look at trying to pass Albon there. I think we complete the move. Well, we completed the move because there's Oscar Piastri ahead of the Aston Martin. So job done. And now Oscar can skedaddle and close in on the lead pack. Well, I say lead pack, but 2nd and 3rd, and then obviously he'll undercut Verstappen. So this is working quite nicely, I think, now with Oscar. We're getting the benefit of DRS, and he's motoring along very nicely. So George Russell, on lap 25, as Verstappen pits, is 17.9 seconds behind the Dutchman. As he comes in for a pit stop, it looked pretty decent. He's gone on to a set of mediums. So Piastri is well clear. Where is George Russell going to be in all of this? They're going to be very close. And George Russell is just ahead of Max Verstappen. That could be crucial, but we've got to manage our tyres all the way to the end. So Verstappen could be definitely a threat as we have a look at trying to pass the AlphaTauri of Yuki Tsunoda. Piastri now 2nd and bearing down on Charles Leclerc, who started this race on mediums. He was just 2.5 seconds quicker. That's incredible. What is Leclerc doing with his tyres? He's babysitting them as best he can. He'll go on to a set of softs to finish the race, I'm sure. We need... George, we need you to get through here. Deploy. Not through the castle. This is madness. Why? Why is this a thing? And how does it end up so clean? That just wouldn't happen in reality, would it? But all's well that ends well. George Russell moves into P5. Young Oscar Piastri might be about to take the lead of the race here from Charles Leclerc. Let's get him driving in clean air. And we'll also deploy onto this 2nd straight. The 2nd with DRS. Leclerc moves to the inside. Piastri just swerves to the right and blasts into the lead. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to not attack because I don't want him to crash. George Russell fending off Max Verstappen here. I'm thinking maybe we push with George and convert him to a 2-stop and really turn the tables on Verstappen and stop him taking any bite out of Russell's lead. But it was very close there. Could have been contact, could have been in the wall, but they make it through, and Verstappen is taking P3, it would seem. So maybe we just hang it out and we just follow Verstappen now. Hopefully the Dutchman doesn't clear off too much. Piastri out of battery. but also nearly 2 seconds in the lead. So comfortable with how things are at the moment. Verstappen is definitely on a mad one here. And look at that, 1.2 seconds it's just shot up to in terms of deficit for us. We're going to push, see if we can close this gap down. But Verstappen will probably pull away a little bit here. If he does pull away a bit too much, we'll change the strategy. Start of lap 34. Piastri is approaching his second stop, which is planned. But with George, we're in a bit of a sticky position because he's now 2 seconds behind Max Verstappen. Just not able really to unleash the sort of pace we've seen at times this season where he's just driven away from the opposition. He would, if we pitted him, he would drop to 9th or 10th and would need to make up a serious amount of time on Verstappen. I wonder if it's worth it. But then if Piastri's coming through, we can always just sort of move George aside, or we can hold Oscar in position. But we do want to give Oscar the opportunity to win this race. George, what do we do? What do we do here? Do we just follow Verstappen home, lose as little points as possible today? Maybe, yeah, just play the percentages. If we're trying to come through the pack and he has an accident, it could be 0 points instead of what's likely to be 15 for third place. Here's Oscar Piastri then, his second stop of the day. Soft tyres going on, 2.8 seconds. Nice service for him. Where is he going to pop back out? Probably just behind Charles Leclerc, and indeed he is. He should get instant DRS. He didn't. That's annoying. But is he just going to go right round the outside of the Red Bull? Yes, he might. He really might. Here comes Oscar Piastri. And he's going to just shove his way through. This is good stuff from Oscar. We're going to go side by side through the castle again, aren't we? Let's do it on board. Here we go. Absolutely not scary at all. And we're still fighting. But we have got the job done. So
keep these tyres in good nick.
I thought we did. Please don't crash here. Please don't crash.
Lovely stuff.
Hey, that's my line.
You're doing a great job there.
That's my line, Oscar. I say lovely stuff. Looking for the overtake then on Liam Lawson to sadly deny him a podium. We're harvesting some energy just so that we've got some in reserve. We should go past here quite straightforwardly, I would imagine, with Oscar. DRS is particularly powerful around Baku, and there you go. Job done. Okay, we are going to have to make an important decision here. George Russell, don't fight your teammate. He's coming through. He's chasing the victory. So he's going to move aside and allow Oscar past. George was not quite going to make it to the end with his tyres, so he's just going to have to drop down to P3. But if he can follow his teammate, that would be very, very useful. We're going to attack with Oscar on the tyres. We are 6 seconds back, and there are 5 laps to go. It's going to be very close. This might be another last lap steal by Mercedes. But surely that's your strategy working perfectly, isn't it? You steal the win with a lap to go. All right, we've got 3 laps to go, and we are still over 5 seconds behind Verstappen. Piastri does need to save a little bit of fuel. So it's not going to quite work out for the young Aussie, I don't think. But still, a P2, that's a career best, at least in this universe, for him. And George is going to make the flag as well this time. We're going to just about have enough fuel, I think, to make it to the end of this race. So, annoyingly, Verstappen's going to come through and win this one. But still a decent haul of points. Will minimise the damage done in the Constructors' Championship as much as possible. But unless Verstappen makes an error on this final lap, we're not going to win the race. But it's good to give Oscar this run, see what he can do. He's come up a little bit short, but we're still proud of his effort. We're still proud of George's race as well. And at least this time we've made the flag. Max Verstappen wins. Oscar Piastri takes a career best second on the podium. George Russell comes home for P3. So a decent result. And Oscar, yes, you should be very happy with that. That was a good, solid effort from you. Even if it wasn't quite the victory we were hoping for. So there's your top 10 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The Ferraris making forward progress. Yuki Tsunoda up 13 places. He must have started at the back because he must have had to take an engine penalty from his qualifying accident. Liam Lawson only 9th in the end, having started on the front row. That was that's disappointing for him. But let's see how this affects the Constructors' Championship. We lose 4 points to Red Bull, but the gap is only 7. So a 1-2 finish would quickly turn that around. And George Russell loses 10 points in his championship lead, but it's still a very healthy 63 points. So nothing to be concerned about just yet. But Verstappen is building up a bit of momentum, and we do need to head that off in the next race in Bahrain. Lando Norris now a distant third. He's focusing more at Charles Leclerc, who's not had a brilliant run recently, having at one point been George Russell's closest contender. Oscar Piastri now into triple figures for his points, so now he can maybe start looking at sniping off Pierre Gasly's P5 and having it for himself. And maybe if Leclerc's poor form continues, he could even finish P4, maybe even P3 if Lando doesn't deliver. But Verstappen wins for the second race running, but this time Mercedes do make the flag, and they're both on the podium. So not the win we were hoping for, but if you enjoyed that video, make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on it for me. Subscribe for more F1 Manager content down below, and while you're there, join the Discord. There's a link at the top of the description. I'll see you in Bahrain. Remember, you're the best fans. Bye for now.